I hear from people a lot about you, and unfortunately,
all good things, probably, right?
The show title implicates me with some of your takes, and it's like, yo, why do you guys think this? And I'm like,
yeah, what's your deal, bro?
It's literally not my opinion. That's his.
What's your deal, man?
Well, I hear dirt and Sprague, and I'm like,
that's right.
Thank you.
Guilt by association. You're my accomplice to these bad takes.
But one thing I agree with what you say, quite often actually. Sometimes I think it's a crutch, is your draft position of the Portland Trailblazers and where they currently stand. They are one game away from being 12th in the odds.
Yes,
12th. They are a half game behind Phoenix and Atlanta.
And Phoenix is sinking like a stone.
And Atlanta will just randomly beat Memphis on a buzzer beater by Karis LeVert and be like, what just happened?
How? Huh? Who?
But they very well could pass both teams and finish with the 12th worst record.
They could.
Which I need a Cronin cam the day that happens.
They might catch the Dallas Mavericks and finish with the 10th worst record in the West and make the play-in.
Because I just wonder if he is like the owner of Major League internally, even though publicly he's like, it would be unfair if I didn't allow them this opportunity.
This is great. We're gelling. We're coming together. But internally,
Rachel Phelps all of a sudden.
Damn it.
But I agree with you overall on that point, okay? I say all that to say this. Last night, I couldn't have been rooting harder for the Portland Trailblazers because I needed this idiotic NBA insider crap to stop.
I understand being jealous of an insider like me. It happens.
And you started off with a bang because the Blazers
I felt really
were losing.
good. I was that like guy walking on fire in the first quarter. I was
That
like,
first
oh
quarter
my
was
God, this is
sloppy.
perfect. This is great. They're laying an egg, doubleheader.
Drummond is grabbing
emotional
every
game.
rebound in sight.
I was feeling so good in the first quarter yesterday.
And I was feeling like Xerxes in 300, watching my men get demolished by just a couple Spartans, and I'm just like,
what has happened to me?
I watch this league. Why is he right?
You've lost all of your powers. Here I am.
Might almost rip my nipple piercing out.
And then Tyrese Maxey ran into Donovan Clean.
And then that happened, and then Anthony Simons had a nice game, and they won.
The Blazers are 15-6 in their last 21 games. They win again yesterday. They beat the lowly Philadelphia 76ers. Now, the schedule's going to get infinitely harder, but
yeah, next 5 games are pretty tough for them.
They are now. You say this, and we talked about Kyrie very briefly there with the Mavericks. We don't know the injury yet. If that comes out during the show, we'll update you. If he has an ACL, cooked. And the Mavericks are currently 10th. The Suns are a half game ahead of you. You're only 4 back of 10. And I think they're going to lose most of these good games. But by God, if any of those good teams sit guys, or Oklahoma City, who I want to talk about today because SGA is awesome, but also their defense has been giving up like 120 points in a game.
Uh-oh.
If you go on a little run here and these two teams, Sacramento lost Sabas last night. We'll see the extent of that injury.
They did.
We kind of downplayed it just yesterday, but I'm like, you're only 4 back, and Dallas might have lost Kyrie, and Phoenix is a sinking stone.
Yeah, Phoenix is done. Phoenix is not a threat. I think you got to look at the teams that are currently in the top 10.
It's the back end of that schedule that I look at, Dirt. After these 5 games, these OKC, Boston,
next 5 are tough
Detroit,
for Portland,
New York.
And then to your point, you just don't know what teams are going to be playing for at the end of the year, and will they have everything locked up at that point?
Right, but you also, in that mix, you've got Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago, San Antonio, Utah, Sacramento.
There's some duds in there.
You got some duds in there, and so it's like it's not impossible that they're in this position for playing stuff.
I did this with Dallas because I think Dallas is probably the prime candidate. I know Sabas is out for Sacramento, and maybe they implode as well, but Dallas is now without their 2 best players, and so I looked at I think they both have 20 games remaining on their schedule in the regular season. When you look at Dallas's schedule, I labeled 8 remaining games for them as you have a chance to win that game. That was my count on their schedule. So they got Phoenix coming up. You got a back-to-back with San Antonio. You got Brooklyn on there twice. Toronto's on there. Atlanta's on there. Chicago's on there, right? Like
these are teams that are out-tanking you largely.
Those are the teams that are out-tanking you. So that's on Dallas' schedule. Now, maybe they can't win any of them because Kyrie Irving's out too, but maybe they're good enough defensively where they win a handful of them. So you just start playing the math in your head that if they go, let's say, 8-12 in their final 20 games of the regular season, Portland in order just to match him, and I don't know who has a tiebreaker off the top of my head. I'm assuming it's Dallas, but I don't know that. You would have to go just to match him. You'd have to go 12-8 the rest of the way, and I think that will be
15-6 in the last 21.
They absolutely are. I think that will be decided in this next 5-game stretch. Can you go 2-3 in this 5-game stretch when you're playing legitimate NBA teams who shouldn't be sitting guys when they play you?
Yeah.
On the second of back to that kind of scheduling breaks that they've gotten here the last couple of weeks. If that's the case, you go 2-3 or hell, even 3-2, you have a legitimate chance to do this. If you go 1-4 in that stretch, then you're looking at needing to finish essentially like 11-4 or 5, whatever it would be. I mean, that would have to be a hell of a run to end the season.
So Bobby Marks highlighted this morning, and I look at the play-in and I say, you're not better than Minnesota because I'm just always going to take Ant Edwards in a one game. And I don't believe they're better than the Clippers either. But if they made the play-in, it's a one and done.
One and done.
You just never know.
Yep.
Ant Edwards is 2 for 15, and by God, they beat him earlier when they had the back-to-backs here.
They did.
If you make the playoff, and I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves here because we just highlighted what they have to be record-wise to even get to that point.
Playoffs!
Bobby Marks reminded all of us that if they're in picks 15 through 30
this year,
that pick conveys to your Chicago Bulls.
And they lose the pick to the Bulls.
So they would make the playoff potentially as an 8th seed.
And lose the first-round
pick
pick on top of it.
Get swept by the Thunder and then not even have a first-round pick. And I need a Cronin cam for all of that.
Yeah,
I need the Cronin cam.
I need a heart rate monitor when all that transpires because this pace is probably going to happen. We know that the year is going to end.
I don't know what they would do if all of that were to line up.
I mean, I know they wouldn't acknowledge it, but that would be an epic disaster. It absolutely would.
They'd raise ticket prices by 9%.
We're a playoff team. You damn right they would.
Oh, buddy.
It's a playoff team you're looking at, Jason Swigard. I'll kind of reiterate from last night's game too what I said. I know I took the Sixers yesterday.
I can't believe the Chicago pick is even in a conversation.
How long ago was that trade?
Early March.
How long ago was that trade too? That's when we have kicked that can down the road so many times.
I knew that was a thing, but I had forgotten it into the recesses of my mind.
Was that the Derek Jones Jr. trade? Am I remembering that right?
Might be right.
I feel like that was the trade. And we just have been waiting and waiting and waiting.
There's no single evidence of a world existing where Joe Cronin
thought that he was going to lose his first-round pick this
wait
year.
A minute. The Chicago pick might convey this year?
If anything, he thought it was going to be a top 5 pick. Just where are we going to be drafting? And now you're looking at maybe losing your first-round pick if you're in that spot.
Man.
It would be hilarious if it happened. Ant was awesome last night. He has games like that from time to time where he goes off and carries a team.
Well, they needed it to win that game because they were playing, to your point, like a back-to-back team.
Yeah, they were. Early on, it was pretty ugly.
Shaden had a good game.
Shaden had another good game.
Wreath, huh?
Yeah.
How many people Googled Wop Wreath after the game?
How about that? And I'll reiterate what I said yesterday, though. I know I complain a lot about the state of this organization, and I will continue to do so, big picture-wise. But in nights where in your starting lineup, it's Kamara, Denny Avdia, Donovan Clingan, and Shaden Sharp are all in your starting lineup, and you win a game, I shrug my shoulders, man.
The Clingan redeemed himself.
He absolutely did. He was much better last night. You didn't get the great game from Avdia back-to-back the way that he was in Cleveland on Sunday. Mm-hmm. The Sharp stuff is fascinating to me because I will continue to be a broken record on this. All of a sudden, he's playing because the coaching staff now trusts him. No, he's playing because guys are hurt. And this has been largely the argument that I've been making, is that he's capable of this. The reason he went off in the first place was because Denny Avdia played 6 minutes and went down at the start of the road trip.
100%
Thankfully,
right.
It wasn't a long-term injury, and he was back immediately.
Yeah.
And then on the heels of that, it was Jeremy Grant missing time. So this whole idea that now Sharp is out of the doghouse and playing 37 minutes, I love that. What's going to happen when Jeremy Grant returns from injury? Because he's not out for the year unless they're shutting him down in a quiet tank. Which, hey,
but
if you
you're
want
not quietly. This isn't a tank anymore.
I'm saying if it's
That's
Jeremy
done.
Grant, like, dude, we want to trade you this offseason. We don't want you to get further hurt. Can you please sit down? You rolled your ankle again in practice. We're not going to play you the rest of the year. The second he comes back, what's going to happen to Shaden Sharp?
Dirt, I hope Grant is traded for everybody's sake. What are they giving you? Are you going to go back to settling for multiple seconds?
Maybe that's maybe that's the move we make. We end up with the 14th pick in the draft, and we just attach it to Grant to get rid of him in the offseason.
We get the other Denny Avdia.
We get the other Denny Avdia.
Like he was a first-round pick at some point.
He's got an affordable contract. He loves those.
If they don't trade Jeremy Grant, and to your point, I don't know if they're shutting him down. They haven't announced that.
It's just day-to-day, I think. Yeah, right now.
And they're not tanking.
No.
That tank it's gone.
No,
buddy.
they're heading towards the
gone.
play-in right now.
They're to the play-in. The tank is gone. It's left the building.
Bye-bye, tank.
If he comes back and Shaden goes back to the bench, You cannot.
Is he back in the doghouse then? Is that now he's not playing defense good? Because his defense was horrible against Cleveland the other day, and it didn't matter. He played 35 minutes.
You would have to pretzel your head between your legs.
Like, what are we doing?
To make an argument that it makes sense to sit Shaden at this point. In his last 4 games, he's averaging like 18 points.
He's
5
been
rebounds.
Awesome. He had 11 boards last night. He had a hustle play where he dove on the floor for a loose ball.
He wasn't even good from 3. He was 1 for 7.
He's playing good basketball, though. Can we keep playing him 35 minutes a night? Like, everybody, like...
There's no argument to start Jeremy Grant.
None at all.
He's having the worst year
He's been
of his
the worst
career.
player on the team this year.
He has been the most minus player that
Yes.
they've had heavy minutes to.
If you're telling me accountability matters, put his ass on the bench and play him 17 minutes a night because he sucks this year. That's okay.
Yeah,
Sharp is awesome. Play him 37 minutes. This is fun to watch.
You'd have to be a yoga instructor really into your own brand, bending yourself to tell me why Jeremy Grant should be back in the starting lineup at Shaden. Like, literally, your legs are between your head, and you're like, Jeremy should be starting. Namaste.
He's shooting 37% from the floor this year, not from 3 from the floor.
Bad. He's so bad.
Keep playing Sharp, baby. Next 5 games are huge, though. For the playoff chances, we'll see. I mean, that's if you go 1-4, 0-5. I don't think they'll go 0-5. But
give me your predictions. Do we get to the play-in?
I still don't think we do. I still think the math is against you.
Yeah, it is.
With 20 games to go.
I think Phoenix ends up there.
I am fascinated why you trust Phoenix.
Phoenix thing is the most... Look, you might be right.
They're 2-8 in their last 10.
They're bizarre.
I understand all of that.
They're a half game ahead of Portland.
Have you followed any of what's happening?
Yes.
Booker
KD
hates his coach. His coach hates Booker.
I know.
KD just shrugs his shoulders. What about Phoenix makes you feel good?
KD. I think they got dudes that can still take over and shoot their way out of whatever problems are going on.
I'd like you to find the last
enough
takeover
times.
game for the Phoenix Suns. I want you to look that up during the break.